Hello and welcome back. We have finished installing our WAMP server, making our computer ready to accept Joomla website design. We have set up a user and a password for our MySQL access. That's for our database. The next thing we have to do is to download the Joomla software and start working with it. To download the Joomla software, just visit www.joomla.org and come to download section and click 2.5 full package. You are brought to this page automatically, and you can download the full package by clicking this icon here. It tells you this package is 2.5.8 as at the time of this video tutorials, and you can also get upgrade packages for those people that are already designing with Joomla. You can see here we have Joomla 3.0, but it tells you recommended for developers and early adopters. It's usually safe and wise to give new versions of Joomla some time to be tested before you jump into using them. So for now, 2.5 is still very good and effective to use for our website design. I'll not be downloading this because I've already downloaded it on my system. I'll just close this link and minimize this, and once you click download and you're through, you have a folder like this. Don't mind my icon, I installed WinRAR, that's why it's looking like this, but you have a zipped file on your desktop or wherever you downloaded to. The next thing you have to do is unzip it, so I will just right click and click extract files. Remember, while in our introductory class we were mentioning things you need to run Joomla successfully, and we mentioned you needed a zip software, and I'll just say okay, and I will just give this some time to extract. Not so long, but just be patient a little, it'll soon be there. And once it has finished extracting, this is my folder here. You can just double click to see the contents, but no need, I'll be closing this. Now you have to now transfer this folder to your WAMP server. To do that, just right click on the folder, and you can either cut it or copy it. I'll just be copying it, and then I'll locate my WAMP folder icon, my WAMP server, sorry, the icon. Once you click on it, you look for this folder that says www directory. You just click on it to open, and then I'll right click and paste it inside here. This is where we are going to be working with. This is the way you transfer files to your local server, so to speak, your local server that you've installed on your system. This is how you do it, but this is for WAMP, mind you. If you are using XAMPP, I think you go to the HTTP docs. That's where you upload files. But whichever server you decide to use, just know where to upload your files to. That will help save you a whole lot of time. I prefer WAMP, so we are doing these tutorials on the WAMP server. And once this has finished uploading, the next thing I do is change the name from the default Joomla title to the name of the website I intend to design. And for the purposes of these tutorials, we are going to be designing a simple website for a restaurant called Le Riz restaurant. And I'll just click out of that place. Once you have renamed it, you can close this, open your browser, and go to your WAMP server page. Remember to always access your WAMP server from your browser. You just type in localhost and click on enter. I'm here, so I'll just refresh to see what I have. And when you refresh under your projects, you can see Leris. At this point, we have successfully uploaded Joomla to the server and we can start using it. But before we do that, we have to create a database that the Leris restaurant will work with. Remember, I said earlier that Joomla works with databases. It runs on a database. So I'll just right click on this and say open in new tab so I can create a database. And when it's open here, you see it says create a new database. You just type in the name of what you want to call your database. Personally, I prefer calling my database by the name of the site so that I don't get confused, and anytime I want to delete a database or drop a database, I find it very easy to locate it. So I just call this Leris and you just click on create. Once you see this green writing here, database Leris has been created. You have successfully created a database for your Joomla website and we're through with this. So I just close this and now I can just right click on Leris restaurant to start the installation process of Joomla, and I click open in a new tab. I want to open it in a new tab and it brings you to the Joomla installation environment. Now you can see the steps that are going to be taken. You first have to choose your language, and mine is on United Kingdom. I'm okay with that, and I click on next, and it checks your pre-installation configuration to see whether your server meets the minimum requirements. Remember, I told you 5.2.4 and other requirements. Once you see everything green saying yes here, then you are home and dry. These are other requirements that are needed but not compulsory. Like if you see my settings here, it says out buffering recommended should be off, but mine is actually on, but that won't stop my Joomla installation. So I'll just click on next, and then you can take out time to read the general public license, but I won't be doing that, so I'll just click on next. And we are now in the database environment. You now have to link this installation with the database Leris that we created, remember? And then you select your database type. Remember I told you Joomla runs on other types of databases other than MySQL. So mine is MySQL. Your host name is localhost. Your username, remember the username we prepared, that I created while I was working, creating a new user on the database. It is Pious, and then it asks for the password to that particular user I created at that time. So I will just provide it with the password and asks you for the database name. Here mine is already showing Leris for some reasons, but if yours is not showing the name of your database, which I know it will not be showing, then you just go ahead and type it in. And once you've done that, you just click on next and allow Joomla to connect with the database, trying to connect with the username and password to the database you created. If it is successful, it will take you to the next step. Otherwise, it will tell you it was unable to connect to database. You should check your database settings that you provided. We'll just give this some few minutes to connect. Yes, and it has connected, so it's brought us to the next step, which is FTP configuration. Principally, I will not be using this, so I'll just click on next, and then it now brings you to your site settings. You can now provide basic settings for your site. I'll just clean up this first before, so you get to understand it better. Your site name, what do you want to call the name of your site? And since I'm designing for a restaurant, I'll just be calling it the name Leris Restaurant. the email of the restaurant. This email is what the system is going to use whenever you send emails out to people. If you show them this is the email where it came from, this is where it is coming from. So I might just call mine info. You can call yours anything you want. Info at Leris restaurant.com, and admin username. Usually it comes as default with admin, but it is strongly recommended that you change it from admin to avoid security breaks. But for these tutorials, I'm still going to leave mine as admin, and then I provide a password. Remember, the password you are providing here is not and should not be the same one of your database that we created initially. The password, the username and password you are providing here is what you will use to access the administration area or the administrator area of your Joomla site, so that you can make changes on your site. So it asks me to confirm password again, and then if you scroll down a bit, it tells you to install sample data. This is good for beginners to install sample data. What it has just done, it has created articles, done almost everything. In fact, it has designed and developed a full Joomla website. All you just need to do is go and edit the things from the back end. And it also provides you with some articles and tutorials about Joomla that you can breeze through and understand more about Joomla. For these tutorials, I will not be installing sample data because I want to show you everything from scratch. I'll now just click on next, and it says finish. But before we can proceed, it says we should remove the installation folder. I can just click on it here and give it some time. It tells you installation folder successfully removed, and it reminds you of what your username is as admin, but it doesn't give you your password for security reasons. You should know your password. And then you can just click on the site, and you are one step away from having your first site designed using Joomla. This is the front end of your site. You can see it's bare, but as we go along in these tutorials, you get to see more things you can do. So at this point, we have successfully installed our Joomla software on our local host. That's our local computer, our server on our local computer. And in the next tutorial, I'll be taking you to the back end or the administrator area of Joomla, where you can configure and edit certain things on your site. See you then.